Hello everyone. I'm going to jump in for Jackie here real quick and answer the ConvertKit questions that Rhonda asked and walk through the process of setting up the email template and then addressing these questions here in particular. So it's a matter of creating the email template, following the example of what Melissa does with her podcast. And so I did go grab one of those so that we had a visual here. Ultimately, at the top, we have a graphic, we have a subheading, then we have another heading, then we have multiple text options here. We've got some links and some icons or some emojis listed in here. We have the buttons, and then we've got a text block with a background and a border around it. We've got our little value add stuff here. And then you mentioned, let's see, so my podcast, so here we go. Specifically, it's how do we increase the size from one section to the other? So for example, here, this is one type of text. This is a second. This is another type. My podcast outlet icon's horizontal, not vertical. This one is the only one that I think we may need to do a little bit of troubleshooting, but I am going to give you a couple tips and tricks that you might be able to use to solve that. And if not, we already have that Zoom call tomorrow that we can always jump on and do some advanced troubleshooting. And then the next one was create background color for buttons, such as listen here without part of the color block going on a different line. We can definitely look at that. And then creating that background, so way down at the bottom here, where it's the background image, that's one color. So it wouldn't be an image at that point if it's going to be one color. We actually are setting a background color to it, but I will definitely show you that. Let me move these two things out of the way. I am going to keep them up on my side screen, so if I am looking over there, that is the reason. What I am finding, so you can see I've got my template set up for my welcome aboard for my design forward, and then I started dabbling with my file mastery stuff. But I started with some of these templates that they give just because I'm not starting from scratch. So for example, the story one is very similar to what Melissa does with hers. So if we take a look at this, it's really nice because it's got that reminder of our issue. So if we're doing a weekly email like my design forward, I have a weekly one every Friday. I probably tomorrow will start with number 1 and go from there. We then have our title text, our image, we have a paragraph, we have another heading or a subheading kind of there. We've got more text, we've got a button, and then we've got some of this stuff here. So we can definitely start with this, or we can go back and truly just start with there's got to be a blank one. I guess I didn't even look at that to see. There is not a blank one. So what I'm gonna, I guess you can import some code if you want. I'm just gonna start with that story one just for simplicity, and that way then we have some content to work with as well. But again, you have, it sounds like one already started, so it's probably a matter of fine-tuning it. But with the first question, so let me go back to this. Increase size in one section, but not the entire email. It took me a little bit to figure this out as well, because often when you are hovering over stuff in a software, you'll end up with some sort of option. In ConvertKit, what you need to do is click right here, and then you end up with this plus sign. When you click on that plus sign, you have the option of adding the different sections. So if I want to add a paragraph underneath this, and then this is my sample text down here, I now have a heading size 1 and then a paragraph text down here. If I want to go underneath that, and let's say I want to do another heading, but I don't want this one to be a heading size 1, up here we have our different navigation or our toolbar access here. So I want this to be just a little bit smaller. So that's where this would be my subheading right in here, and then go from there. One thing I went back and forth with this past week with the tech support over at ConvertKit, which they are absolutely amazing. You send an email and within minutes I'm finding they're responding. Even last night at 1:30 a.m. I sent an email and somebody responded just letting me know they were already looking into it, which is awesome. So you can always reach out to them if you want. But there isn't a drag and drop option. At least I haven't found one yet. So it is a matter of having a plan for what you want to do and then building it all in. But it is just these pluses. And if you're putting your bulleted list here, you're going to do that as well. So that is how you do the sections. But again, you do need to come in with a plan, or if you make a mistake, so let's say I don't want a subheading there, I can delete it again too. So that is super simple to do, and it is always dropping down below. So in here, this, I probably would want that to be like a heading size 3, and then this is going to be my text underneath that image if I wanted that. But those plus signs are the key for that one. Moving on for the podcast to the outlet versus the so the links are horizontal, not vertical. So you are wanting them to be vertical because when I'm looking at this, these are all horizontal here. So I guess I'm not quite sure what you mean, but I guess we could do it where you do like a couple of them here. Let's get rid of some of these then, and then go down to the next line, or actually go back up here, come back here, and then add another icon. So if that's what you're trying to do, that is definitely a workaround, and then you could add a couple of them there. So if you're trying to go vertical, that would be a workaround for it. I'm not sure if you meant to have them the opposite way, but if you are trying to go horizontal, it is the plus. You are, each one that you add or delete, you are going back and forth that direction. So definitely tomorrow during that Zoom call, if that doesn't address your question, but hopefully one of those workarounds does fix that. Then how do you create the background color for buttons? So up here on my read story, what you are trying to do, so such as listen here without part of the color block going on a different line. So ultimately that comes down to how long is your text that you are putting in here. So if I'm typing in, so click, let's see, so click here to listen, and I know, let me actually put my caps on, click, whoops, come on claps, click here to listen. And then what I'm going to do is if I want this to be large, medium, small, I'm on this thing, I can change my color to whatever I want it to be. I can add padding on here. So this is on the top part or the lower part. If you go over there, you can have margins around it. I can put borders of different colors if I want to play around with those, and the radiuses as well if I'm trying to get some curvature on this to make it a little friendlier or less stark, I guess would be the word. I can do my margins. So the key thing would be that your text isn't so long. I would definitely, for a button, keep the rule of thumb, at least from web development and from instructional design or instructional technology when we're creating courses, 3 to 5 words at most. And you don't want them to be really long because people aren't going to read all of that. Once in a while, it's okay, but that would be, so I guess then to, what is your font size that you're working with, I guess would be the other question. Are you going super large with it? Because then it goes on to a second one, but actually that's not so bad when it goes like that. So definitely want some clarity on that, if that addressed that question or not. But it's a matter of the size, it's a matter of the padding, of what your margins are. Are you filling the whole width to do that whole thing? The auto width, how are you playing with these things? And it would be some experimentation with that. As far as so let's see. So create the button. Yep, we answered that question. Now it's that background. So down here we have, and this one is a little odd because as you click around, all you're getting is the colors of everything. So for example, here, if I want to go with the black like what Melissa has, I'm definitely going to need to change my font color to white. So I'm going to just do that. Whoops. So grab this so it's all of those. And then I want the link color to also be white, and now it looks like it all vanished. But what I'm going to add, and this is what gets me access to the section, which is this footer back here, I just added a HTML block, and for some reason that is what gives me access to the background color. So if I'm wanting this to be black, there we have it then. I don't know why that would be, because there's not really a way to grab access to the sections unless I'm completely missing it. But I'm with you on that. But a little trial and error, and that did show up. And it's okay that that's saying the enter HTML here. It doesn't actually show. So if I now go here and share only, whoops, nope, I don't want to do the share. I want to save this. And then I think I can go preview it, but how do I preview that? I think I have to attach it to something, don't I? So I now have, where did that go? Starting point, this was my one where we played around with it. Yep, here we go. So if I do this, yeah, no, unless I attach it to an automation, I won't be able to preview it as if it's sending, but it does look like this. And again, this isn't going to show up when it's there. If that text does make you crazy, just put a space in there and then that goes away too. So if that bothers you. Hopefully that answers your questions. And again, we do have that Zoom call tomorrow. So if you want to dig in and fine tune things a little bit more, I have been playing around with this stuff. So here is that preview for what my here's my welcome for that. So I did get this to start playing around, and like I did a background color in the way back here where that I did do as well. But it again is a whole lot of clicking around to find the access point to different settings. It's kind of crazy that way. I hope that helps.